Hello, ladies and gents. Romie Reviews here. Please like, comment, subscribe. This is my review for what's the show called? The Passage. I'm kidding. It's called The Passage. So this is season 1, episode 2. Now, this episode's called You Owe Me a Unicorn. The episode essentially starts off with, Amy and Brad, their agent Brad, they're still on the run. They're still on the run. They're still trying to get away from those guys. I'm glad that they continued it that way. Some shows have the tendency of just pretending like, oh, we're just going to move forward and pretend like this didn't happen, or, show that technically we got away. That's all you need to know. But they showed us how they did it. It was cool because he ran a couple of red lights and it wasn't that difficult, actually, which I thought was a little interesting. Odd. They end up getting close to Wisconsin because he has a friend there, and his ex-military instructor is there, and she's a black woman. So I said, "Ooh, she's with the ish. Oh, this is going to be interesting." But the problem is that he passes out. So then Amy has to figure out what she's going to do. So Amy decides, okay, she's going to have to call his ex-wife. She calls his ex-wife. The ex-wife was like, "Huh? Wait, huh?" But, she's good under pressure. So then she calmed down Amy because Amy was on the verge of hyperventilating herself. She said, okay, put your hand on his chest. Is he still breathing? Yes. Cool. So you just need to go and give him, what did she say, like a noogie? Something to snap him out of it, to kind of shock him. And it worked. So then Amy said, it's your ex-wife. She's really cool. And then he talked to her for like 2.5 seconds, said there's someone probably at the hospital trying to eavesdrop, and her phone will be hacked. So, not her phone will be hacked, but her phone will be monitored as well. So it was kind of a good call when it came to that. The problem is that Amy got upset and she got offended because now they're on their way into Wisconsin. And Amy, I feel bad because Amy did the right thing. She was like, look, she seems like someone that you could trust, and so that's why I called her. You were passed out. What was I going to do? And he wasn't yelling at her because he knows how to talk to a kid. But he was being stern because he threw the phone and she was looking at him like, really? But he had to break the phone because they could be tracked. Once they kind of verbalized with each other how they were feeling, then things were okay. Then she said, look, don't contact her again. Actually, don't call anyone again. It's just too dangerous. And then he said, okay. She said, okay. But she said, hey, you said you weren't going to leave me, and I thought that you were dead when you passed out. So don't pass out on me again. Okay. And he said, fine. And they were both smiling because I said, oh, I love their relationship. But anyway, before all of that even happened, they needed to ditch their original car. And how they did that was he noticed that there was a school and they were going on a class trip. So he pretended to be her parent, and he said, I'm sorry, we just transferred, so her name isn't on the list. I was a little thrown off about how easy that was to do it. It made me a little nervous, because just in general, but for show purposes, let's go with this. People have definitely been able to get away with that. He said they just transferred, and then Amy said, oh yeah, and my mommy cheated on dad with the yoga instructor, something like that, the gym instructor. And it was two women handling the trip, so they're like, oh. Amy was able to get on the bus. They're like, oh, who's the new girl? What's going on? And then Amy was told by Brad to open the bus door in the back, which she did. He goes in. They're looking at him like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. He said, why don't you go and be quiet and see what, because if you say anything, see what happens. I said, oh, excuse. So now we're threatening kids? Look, you need to do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do. The problem is, back at Project Noah, they need Amy. So they're not going to stop. They will kill him if they have to. There's this new patient. He was a former inmate. And what's the doctor's name? Dr. Fanning? No. maybe it's Dr. Lear. Yeah, so Dr. Lear is the one who set up this whole thing. Him and Dr. Fanning. But Dr. Lear's talking to the inmate, and the inmate's not dumb. He realizes that you had to get inmates in order to do this test, so it can't be, legally or morally sound. And he said, yeah, well, how do you feel about doing this? Did you see your life turning this way? He said, of course not. Now we see that Dr. Lear, his wife was sick with Alzheimer's. So that's why he went and talked to Dr. Fanning, because Dr. Fanning was like an expert in this stuff. And he could also get the funding that they needed. The problem with the project was that it was put on a very aggressive timeline. So he got funding with people who said, okay, if you do it this way, then you can get these type of results. But Dr. Fanning already had a weird personality. Apparently he had, substance abuse issues. He was a little erratic in general. So he wasn't the first choice. Like once Dr. Lear's wife heard about this, she realized, no, you can't work with him. I know why you're working with him. You can't do that. He's not the type of person you need to be working with. And her husband had to tell her, hey, he's the best option we have right now. So this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. Period. Which sucks. It sucks. But then we see, then we eventually see Amy and Brad. They get to the ex-military person's house. She raises goats now. But she still has the security system. They get in the house and there's every gun you can think of just right there on her wall. The right to bear arms. She lives in the woods, so it actually makes sense. And because of her background, it makes sense. Where she tells Amy to go freshen up, and then she tells Brad, so when are you going to tell me what's really going on? Go and get cleaned up and tell me what's going on later, because she's going to take care of them and house them. So then we see Dr. Lear. He's talking to the other doctor, the woman doctor, and they're just showing how the results, again, are miraculous. It's happening so quickly where the new patient, he's recovering quickly. The cartilage in his knee, it's recovered. And the problem is, that's not the issue. The problem is he's going to eventually turn into a vampire. They're not calling it a vampire. I think they call it a vital. Something silly. But whatever's clever. Now we see Amy is hanging out with the ex-military woman, and Brad's wife shows up because Brad's wife knows him too well. Knows that, okay, because she asked Amy, so where are you? They're close to Wisconsin. And at first, I was concerned that maybe she got followed, but she wasn't. I was surprised. She wasn't followed. So clearly, whatever she learned from him, it stuck. And it's kind of like they're one big happy family. It's kind of weird. It's like they're one big happy family, which is nice. But then Brad was talking to the woman that's, housing them right now. And she says, here's the thing. What's your plan? He wants to go to Canada. But then they can go into Canada. So then he said, okay, Amsterdam. Essentially, he just wants to run. He just wants to run with Amy. He wants to protect her. But part of the problem is, even if he takes her, they're going to take another child. They're going to take another child that doesn't have a family and do the same thing because they can do it. That's when his friend tells him, give her the information. She'll go to the authorities and release this so that this will stop and that other kids won't be affected. And at first he was apprehensive, but he realized he should be looking at the bigger picture instead of what's just right in front of him. So then he starts going and giving the information. I said, this is not the time to go and feel like you're going to be a narc or a snitch or anything like that. You are saving lives because they're doing some foolery down there. Now we see the new patient. I realized that he was dreaming. He didn't realize it, but he was having a dream. He thought he was exercising, and maybe he was initially. But then things take a turn because he goes and into this kind of like this lounge. It almost looks like a 1930s, 40s lounge. And he sees the woman who is also there. She's already turned, and she was the one who killed I think like 2 men or 2 for ex-lovers, something of the sorts. And then he sees Dr. Fanning. Dr. Fanning, but they all look regular. They all look regular. And he's saying, you can't trust Dr. Lear, and it's only a matter of time before he goes and betrays you. And then they try to get him to drink the blood. He doesn't want to do that yet because he realizes, no, I'm not about that life. But we know eventually he will. It's only a matter of time because the virus requires sacrifice. And so since he's not willing to go and turn quickly and, have to drink blood to survive and get sustenance, his body will be taken away from him. Even though it sounded like they were going to do that anyway, I just thought, oh boy, you guys are clueless. Hopefully this guy doesn't turn and he can help you out because you're going to need him, because we know sooner rather than later there's going to be a revolt. Dr. Fanning is amassing an army, and when he's ready, there's nothing they can do. So now Brad's talking to his ex-wife, and the ex, clearly I like this show because I remember this stuff. He's talking to his ex-wife, and she still loves him. He still loves her. She'll always still love him. Apparently, and this was the weird part, I don't know if she meant it or not, but she was like, oh yeah, he's out there in the car waiting. I'm assuming that was a joke because he never came in, so that wouldn't have made any sense. Brad acknowledges that he emotionally became unavailable for his wife and also for himself after his daughter died. We don't know how his daughter died. All we know is that he feels guilty. He feels like it was his fault. His wife doesn't blame him at all, but he blames himself. And he's never been the same until now. Essentially, Amy has given him his second win, his second, chance at life. And so that's why he's like, whatever he needs to do to protect her, that's what he's going to do. I said, oh. And even while that's going on, they start to make out. I said, She still loves him. We knew it. He knew it. He still loves her. We knew that too. Now we see Amy, she's reading a book, and she's still thinking about her mom. So she asked if he believed in God. He didn't really answer it, but he did say that, it's important to remember the people that were here. So that was his version of an answer. And he read to her. And I said, oh, this is so adorable. Now, excuse me, his friend who's housing them said that she has a guy that can take his car and trash it. The guy who was doing that, he got caught. And then they started to physically interrogate him until he gave up the name of who it is. And now they have a location, which means that now they're no longer safe. And then they're getting ready to leave. So before that, Dr. Lear is talking to his new patient. The patient said everything's going great, but he's been having these weird dreams. And he said Dr. Fanning told him to not trust you. And Dr. Lear realizes that, oh boy, this is he's not in control. He's not in control, but it's already too late. It's already too late. There's nothing that they can do. And I hate when people say that. There is. You can stop. You actually can stop. But they also have investors. So it's not as easy as just shutting down the program. Now, there was this guy throughout the entire episode that was consistently bothering the virals, and he kept messing with the girl. His coworker kept telling him to stop. And so then the guy, to try and just josh him, went and took his badge and threw it into her cell. I said, if he gets ripped up because of you, I'm fighting. But I figured she wouldn't do that, and she didn't, because he wasn't the one messing with her. It was the other guy. So then once he saw that, oh, it was safe, he clumsily went and tried to antagonize her again like he's been doing. And she went and bit him just like a vampire. She is a vampire. Just like a vampire. So now it's morning. And everyone, including his ex-wife, is getting ready to leave. It looks like they're all getting ready to go. And it's not a goodbye. It's a I'll see you later type of thing. But it really is a goodbye because the security system got tripped. The guns were flying. His ex-military friend got shot. and presumably died, I was so upset because I said she is a boss. I can't believe we had to lose her like that. And Amy has to see another person that was kind to her die. Really? So then the ex-wife was trying to get Amy to go out through the back so that they could go. And Brad realized they were going to keep chasing the both of them. At least if he gave up himself, that could give them potentially enough time. But Amy remembered what she said. Their agreement was they weren't going to leave each other. So she made sure to go and stand by his side so that he wouldn't get shot. Because he was about to get shot. His friend has been killing people left and right. Thankfully, the friend felt like, all right, we have what we want, so we don't need to search the house. I wouldn't be surprised if he figured someone else was in the house, possibly the ex-wife, and was like, no, let's just stop. But that's it. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm hoping that his friend isn't actually dead and she's just really injured. Because of how she got shot, I'm like, Lord, please. Because the woman's a doctor. I'm like, save her. But that was it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Come back next week. And remember, guys, I have a new channel that I'm still working on. I'm doing ASMR videos there, and I haven't done a video yet. I'm hoping today is the day. I finally got some of my props, so I'll make sure to include the link if it's ready. Thank you.